talk about Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee's birth name was Lee Junfan. His father Lee Hoi-chen was a Cantonese opera singer based in Hong Kong. His mother Grace Ho was born in Shanghai, and she was of Eurasian ancestry. In December 1939, his parents traveled to California for an international opera tour in Chinatown, San Francisco. He was born there on November 27, 1940, allowing him to claim U.S. citizenship due to the United States just solely citizenship laws. When he was 4 months old, the Lee family returned to Hong Kong. Soon after, the Lee family experienced unexpected hardships over the next 4 years as Japan, in the midst of World War II, launched a surprise attack on Hong Kong in December 1941 and ruled the city for the next 4 years. Lee's maternal grandfather was Cantonese. His maternal grandmother was English, and his maternal great-uncle, Robert Houghton, was a Hong Kong businessman of Dutch, Jewish, and Cantonese descent. Lee's father Lee Hoi-chen was a Cantonese opera star. As a result, the junior Lee was introduced to the world of cinema at a very young age and appeared in several films as a child. Lee had his first role as a baby who was carried onto the stage in the film Golden Gate Girl. He took his Chinese stage name as Lee the Little Dragon, for the fact that he was born in both the hour and the year of the dragon by the Chinese zodiac. As a 9-year-old, he co-starred with his father in The Kid in 1950, which was based on a comic book character, Kid Chung, and was his first leading role. By the time he was 18, he had appeared in 20 films. After attending Tak Sun School, several blocks from his home at 218 Nathan Road, Kowloon, Lee entered the primary school division of the Catholic La Salle College at age 12. In 1956, due to poor academic performance and possibly poor conduct, he was transferred to St. Francis Xavier's College, where he was mentored by Brother Edward Muss, FMS, Varian-born teacher and coach of the school boxing team. After Lee was involved in several street fights, his parents decided that he needed to be trained in the martial arts. In 1953, Lee's friend William Chung introduced him to Ip Man, but he was rejected from learning Wing Chun Kung Fu under him because of the long-standing rule in the Chinese martial arts world not to teach foreigners. Additional citation needed. His one-quarter European background from his mother's side was an initial obstacle towards his Wing Chun training. Chung spoke on his behalf and Lee was accepted into the school. Lee began training in Wing Chun with Yip Man. Yip tried to keep his students from fighting in the street gangs of Hong Kong by encouraging them to fight in organized competitions. After a year into his Wing Chun training, most of Yip Man's other students refused to train with Lee when they had learned of his mixed ancestry, as the Chinese were generally against teaching their martial arts techniques to non-Asians. Lee's sparring partner, Hawkins Chung, states, "Probably fewer than 6 people in the whole Wing Chun clan were personally taught, or even partly taught, by Yip Man." However, Lee showed a keen interest in Wing Chun and continued to train privately with Yip Man, William Chung, and Wang Shun Liang. In 1958, Lee won the Hong Kong Schools boxing tournament, knocking out the previous champion, Gary Elms, in the final. That year, Lee was also a cha-cha dancer, winning Hong Kong's Crown Colony Cha-Cha Championship. Lee's first introduction to martial arts was through his father, from whom he learned the fundamentals of Wu-style Tai Chi. In his teens, Lee became involved in Hong Kong gang conflicts, which led to frequent street fights. The largest influence on Lee's martial arts development was his study of Wing Chun. Lee was 16 years old under the Wing Chun teacher Yip Man. Between late 1956 and 1957, after losing to rival gang members, Yip's regular classes generally consisted of the forms practice, chi-saw drills, wooden dummy techniques, and free sparring. There was no set pattern to the classes. Other Chinese martial arts styles Lee trained in were Northern Praying Mantis, Southern Praying Mantis, Eagle Claw, Tan Tui, La Han, Zhangdiai, Wakung, Monkey, Southern Dragon, Fujian White Crane, Choi Li Fut, Hung Gar, Choi Gar, Fut Gar, Mok Gar, Yao Kung Moon, Li and Lao Gar. Lee was trained in boxing between 1956 and 1958 by Brother Edward, coach of the St. Francis Xavier's College boxing team. He went on to win the Hong Kong Schools boxing tournament in 1958, while scoring knockdowns against the previous champion Gary Elms in the final. After moving to the United States, Lee was heavily influenced by heavyweight boxing champion Muhammad Ali, whose footwork he studied and incorporated into his own style in the 1960s. Lee demonstrated his Jeet Kune Do martial arts at the Long Beach International Karate Championships in 1964 and 1968, with the latter having higher quality video footage available. Lee is seen demonstrating quick eye strikes before his opponent can block, and demonstrating the 1-inch punch on several volunteers. He demonstrates chi-saw drills while blindfolded against an opponent, probing for weaknesses in his opponent while scoring with punches and takedowns. Lee then participates in a full-contact sparring bout against an opponent, with both wearing leather headgear. Lee is seen implementing his Jeet Kune Do concept of economical motion, using Ali-inspired footwork to keep out of range while counterattacking with back fists and straight punches. He halts attacks with stop-hit side kicks, and quickly executes several sweeps and head kicks. The opponent repeatedly attempts to attack Lee, but is never able to connect with a clean hit. He once manages to come close with a spin kick, but Lee counters it. The footage was reviewed by Black Belt magazine in 1995, concluding that the action is as fast and furious as anything in Lee's films. It was at the 1964 championships that Lee first met Taekwondo master Jun-gu Ri. While Ri taught Lee the sidekick in detail, Lee taught Ri the non-telegraphic punch. Ri learned what he calls the acupunch from Lee and incorporated it into American Taekwondo. The acupunch is a rapid, fast punch that is very difficult to block. Based on human reaction time, the idea is to finish the execution of the punch before the opponent can complete the brain-to-wrist communication. Lee commonly used the oblique kick, made popular much later in mixed martial arts. It is called the Jeet Tek, stop kick, or intercepting kick, in Jeet Kune Do. He favored cross-training between different fighting styles, and had a particular interest in grappling. Lee trained with several judo practitioners in Seattle and California. Among them Fred Sato, Jesse Glover, Taiki Kimura, Hayward Nishioka, and Wally J., as well as Jean LaBelle. Many of his first students were proficient in judo and other arts, and he learned as much as he taught. After befriending LaBelle on the set of The Green Hornet, Lee offered to teach him striking arts in exchange for being taught grappling techniques. LaBelle had been taught catch wrestling by prestigious grapplers Lou Thesz and Ed Lewis, and notable techniques of both judo and catch wrestling can be seen in Lee's Tao of Jeet Kune Do. He also learned grappling moves from Hapkido master Ji Han Jae. According to Glover, Lee only found judo ineffective at the action of getting hold of the opponent. In their first training together, Glover showed Lee an Osoto Gari, which Lee considered not a bad technique, but he disliked that Glover had needed to hold on to Lee. While in Seattle, Lee developed anti-grappling techniques against opponents trying to tackle him or take him to the ground. Glover recalled Lee definitely would not go to the ground if he had the opportunity to get you standing up. Nonetheless, Lee expressed to LaBelle a wish to integrate judo into his fighting style. He incorporated the Osoto Gari into Jeet Kune Do, among other throws, arm locks, and chokeholds from judo. Although Lee opined that grappling was of little use in action choreography because it was not visually distinctive, he showcased grappling moves in his own films, such as Way of the Dragon, where his character finishes his opponent Chuck Norris with a neck hold inspired by LaBelle, and Enter the Dragon, whose prologue features Lee submitting his opponent Sammo Hung with an armbar. Game of Death also features Lee and Han Jae exchanging grappling moves, as well as Lee using wrestling against the character played by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Lee was also influenced by the training routine of the Great Gama, an Indian-Pakistani Palwani wrestling champion known for his grappling strength. Lee incorporated Gamma's exercises into his own training routine. On May 10, 1973, Lee collapsed during an automated dialogue replacement session for Enter the Dragon at Golden Harvest Film Studio in Hong Kong. Because he was having seizures and headaches, he was immediately rushed to Hong Kong Baptist Hospital, where doctors diagnosed cerebral edema. They were able to reduce the swelling through the administration of mannitol. The headache and cerebral edema that occurred in his first collapse were later repeated on the day of his death. On Friday, July 20, 1973, Lee was in Hong Kong to have dinner with actor George Lazenby, with whom he intended to make a film. According to Lee's wife Linda, Lee met producer Raymond Chow at 2 p.m. at home to discuss the making of the film Game of Death. They worked until 4 p.m. and then drove together to the home of Lee's colleague Betty Ting Pei, a Taiwanese actress. The three went over the script at Ting's home, and then Chow left to attend a dinner meeting. Later, Lee complained of a headache, and Ting gave him the painkiller Equagesic, which contained both aspirin and the tranquilizer meprobamate. Around 7:30 p.m., he went to lie down for a nap. When Lee did not come for dinner, Chow came to the apartment, but he was unable to wake Lee up. A doctor was summoned and spent 10 minutes attempting to revive Lee before sending him by ambulance to Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Lee was declared dead on arrival at the age of 32.